Hi, it's John. I'd like today to talk about this energy first universe, how everything is energy, and what that means for the way that we connect with each other, and what it means for our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And so let us begin with, first of all, my truth, my knowing of how that works in this reality. So, energy first universe for me means that our thoughts, our feelings, their actions, and that our thoughts resonate within us and outside of us, and that our intention for those thoughts and feelings are the navigation system for those energies that we create with our feelings. So, for example, when I think and feel happy thoughts and feelings, they resonate out across the universe, outside of me and also within me. And then when I resonate with lower vibration, unhappy thoughts and feelings, that they also resonate within me and across the universe. And then our intentions are like this navigation system for those energies. So when I think of my friend and I think of them with beautiful love and happiness, then that love and happiness resonates out from me, both across the universe and also, very importantly, to them. And there's many layers to how we can interact with each other and how those thoughts and feelings connect with each other. And so let me just do a kind of quick summary of what I know those to be at this time. So these layers start with this kind of outside layer, just this very public version of us, which is our existence in this plane, in this reality. And so when I think of my friend and I send them love, then I'm sending it to this kind of public version of them. And the public version of them is every thought and feeling from them that they publicly allow and intend to, or unintentionally, express out into the universe. And so if this was a person in the street, I might see them in the street, maybe at a distance, and I'd just be aware of perhaps, I wasn't even sure what clothes they're wearing, but maybe the colors that I could see if they're walking or running. You can see, you can hear if someone's making some noise, if they're shouting or singing or being quiet. I'm just aware of what they're doing, and that feels like energetically to me is like the kind of public version of someone. And then there's a layer within that which is like their energetic field. And so I describe this as the auric field, this energy bubble that sits around us. And it's at least a bubble that exists 2 meters out around us. And that is like the boundary, the energetic boundary of someone. And so on the outside of that boundary, just on the outside of it, you're getting very close to someone. So imagine walking up to someone in the street and coming up to them at a safe distance at perhaps around 2 meters or so. And you'd be kind of on the outside of their personal space. And you could talk to someone, and you could have a chat, you could express how you're feeling. However, you're not so close that you feel, intimidated, like unless you have 3 meter long arms, you don't feel like you can be grabbed by them. And that also exists energetically, like, just being closer, but just on the outside of someone's, their energetic field. So perhaps this would be when you're thinking of a friend and you're then starting to have an interaction with their energy. So you might think of some of their personal details, like if they're they're celebrating their life at this time, they're having lots and lots of fun, or if they're going through a really hard time, and you might be, your heart might be with them at that time, and you're thinking of all the ways that you could help them. And then within those boundaries, within the auric field, like within someone's kind of golden bubble of their safe space, is really where we get into the private space of someone. And so just like in the physical world, if I walked up to a friend and I walked up to them in the street and I stood like really close, like right up in their face, like they would feel my energy, like probably, smell my breath, sense my body heat, sense whether I was friendly or not. And it's very intimate, right? And it can feel very intimidating if you don't invite it. Even if it's a loved one, if they just do it without asking permission, it can be a strange experience. And then the same thing happens energetically. Like if I do a reading for someone, and if I ask their permission, I'm really asking to step into their energetic field. It's like the equivalent in the physical world of stepping right up to them really close and talking to them, and they'll feel as I feel their emotions, and their feelings and their energy. Just depending on how sensitive they are, they will also feel mine. So if I bring bad energy into their space, they'll feel that too. And then I also see like within people. Now I don't really know about the physical. I don't have like first-hand experience of this in the physical world. But imagine a doctor, a surgeon performing surgery inside someone's body. That's what my energy healing work feels like. It feels like when I work on someone's chakras, their nervous system, any physical part of their body, that I'm within them. I'm within this universe of them, and so it's an incredibly intimate thing. And you feel as a human to another human, you feel very responsible and caring and such love, and it requires such trust and permission given by the client, by the patient, by your friend, whatever you're doing to work with someone inside of them energetically or physically. So yeah, a dear friend was asking me more questions about how does this all work? Like, can you do any of this by accident? Because we're not used to that in the physical world, right? We're not used to just walking on the street and then by accident walking into someone's personal space, like right up in their face. But energetically, it's very, very easy to do. And there's a lot day to day that we unconsciously do that certainly in our Western culture isn't really acknowledged as existing. And so one example of that is I would do just until I took a break, I would do monthly readings for quite a few clients. And how this worked is that they would ask, so they would say, "Hey, John, could you do like a monthly healing and reading for me?" And I'd say, "Sure." And I would just put in my diary that time. So let's say it was like a Monday morning at 8 a.m. my time in Scotland. And so I would just go into my safe space and like my sanctuary, my studio, and I would do this healing for about 15 minutes. And I'd really focus my attention on my client, on my friend who asked for the healing. And once that was done, it was a recorded session, and I was really connecting into when I do these sessions, I connect directly into their into their energetic body. And so when you do that, it's like a very intense experience. And then after I've done it, I just send on a video afterwards. Hi. Come on, bitch. So yeah, after I did those sessions for I think like a year or a year and a half, I found that there was some occasions where sometimes, even though I had permission, and even though I was doing these, out of the goodness of my heart, the odd occasion they were paid, but I was really doing them to help others. There was something about the exchange that didn't quite work right, and that was that it's so easy to, like, once, especially the frequency, it's really easy to forget that once a month, that this was happening. If someone said to you, "I'll pop round for a cup of tea and a biscuit at 8 a.m. every Monday morning," you'd easily forget exactly. You'd probably have to check your calendar. And also because in this case it was energetic first, so I would like go in and do the healing work first, and then send on the video, that the person wouldn't be expecting me to turn up for tea, drink tea in their home, eat some biscuits, head off home, and then record it and send them a video. That was like the energetic version of that. And asking permission is so important. And I must admit, I always ask permission. And the more you can ask someone's permission explicitly, the easier it is on many levels. So, for example, if this was a physical world, and I said to a friend, if I was standing at 2 meters away from them and I said, "Look, hello friend, I would like to just step into your safe space, into your personal space, and I'd like to, when I'm in there, I'm going to smile at you, and I'm going to like just send you some happy healing vibes, and I'm going to hug you, and I'm going to hug you for a few seconds. It's going to feel like an eternity, and then I'm going to let go and step back. Is that okay?" And it's very explicit, right? You're stating the intention. You're stating what it is that you want to do, and how you're going to do it. Energetically, it's a bit harder to explain these things, but you can still explain. And so after, with these monthly healing sessions that I was doing for friends, after a couple of occasions where I don't think my friend was like really expecting it, and also when I turned up in their energy, like I hadn't taken proper care of myself at that time, so there was still like some lower vibes in me, and just I needed to take a break and take a rest, which I then went and did afterwards. And so when I took the break, one of the things that I decided to change about the way I worked was the fact that I would still do these on a monthly basis, but instead of doing them just kind of to my calendar, I would do them and send them on to the person I did before. This time I would instead ask them for my friend or my clients to just put them in their calendar. And so what that means is that in their calendar, they just say, "Hey John, I want to do I'd like you to do a monthly healing for me." And every time, every month, that they contact me. And it was really lovely, because for the people that I do these for, they all said that they would love, first of all, for them to continue, and then they also said that they would love to just put in their calendar to remind me, to ask me to do a healing session. And it also means that if it's a month they don't really feel like it, and I have like not a lot of memory, that they'll just not, it'll just not go ahead, which is absolutely fine. So it'll go ahead when they really feel like it. Okay, so let's talk about accidental connections with people and the darker side of the universe. So I feel like one, come on, Patch. One really simple way of thinking about this is that there's like, I don't know what different religions think of this, but I often think within myself about my dark side is that I have like this enemy within me. Like there's part of me that's often on like a kind of self-destruct, or you're trying to destroy others. And I must admit, like it's a very small part of me, but it is, and it's getting smaller all the time. And I'm learning to, to love it and embrace it. And being aware of it is the most important thing. And in this kind of inner warfare that we have with ourselves, the way that I tackle it is, I think a bit about the fact that in this battle of dark and light within us, that the being unpredictable makes your enemy's job even harder. And so if you're like, and I'm like a creature of habit, which makes me really, a lot of the time, really predictable. And the unpredictable parts, so to be unpredictable on the light side, there's a lot of things you can do, right? So one thing I've started practicing now is at least every Sunday, I will both have a rest from posting content, and I will also do it's like a kind of catch-all for any clearing that I need to do. And that allows me to energetically clear myself. So I do this in meditation. And in fact, it's in my free meditations course on my website, johnbinney.com. You can take a look there under training and see the free daily meditations that help teach you this. And then there's also, I'd say every day or every second day at the latest, I will do a clearing of myself also. And when I do those clearings, I set the intention to remove anything that doesn't serve the highest good for me or for all. And these kind of catch-all approaches, like just making sure I'm always taking a Sunday off, and then also when I'm doing my clearing to set the intention to explicitly to clear everything that doesn't serve the highest good for all, is really helpful. And the other thing I vary is when I do those clearings, the times I do them. Sometimes I do them later in the day as well. And I also vary the way I do them. Sometimes I'm dancing and like shaking off the energy. Sometimes I'm using my light sword to like remove anything that no longer serves my highest good or the highest good for all. And sometimes I'm like, you can do this like kind of shaking off of the energy. Well, it's kind of a dance, but you like shake your limbs around until it all comes off. Excuse me while I pick up this poo for Patch. And so when we connect with others, there's that real risk that we accidentally turn up with something attached to us that we're not aware of. And remember that being stealthy and manipulating others is the superpower of the darkness within us and around us. So imagine physically walking up to a friend, getting permission, stepping into their personal space, and then giving them a big hug. And then as you hug them, you realize, you look down, that actually there was a big thorn sticking out of your side, and that thorn was jabbing into them. Like, you'd stop immediately, right? You'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to hurt you. And it's the same energetically. Like, if you have some sort of negative attachment or negative energy or just negative, emotions within you, you're literally going to give someone a very spiky hug if you do energy work with them. If we take a step out of that and step a bit further away, we were talking about this kind of public version of someone where you see them across the other side of the street, you know, or at a distance. This is much more what it's like for many of us, with our family, with our friends, our clients. And a friend was asking me, how do we know, or how can we stop ourselves from accidentally, you know, connecting with people? And so if you rewind right back to the start of this, one of the first things I said is that when you express a thought or a feeling, and it's about someone, it travels out through space and time. And if you're thinking about that specific person, that friend, that energy will be received by them. And so if I feel happy thoughts towards my friend, they feel it. That is like a very different reality to the one that we're used to growing up in. And you know, if you'd asked me the same question maybe 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, maybe only some people could do that. Maybe only people that were kind of psychic or had psychic abilities, you know, or had practiced it, or maybe could do remote viewing, could make other people feel their feelings. And now I believe, especially as this veil continues to thin, I know that everyone feels my thoughts and feelings when I connect with them in any shape or form. When I think of them, it creates a thought connection, a transmission, with or without that person's permission. And you then find yourself in a universe where you have to be much more responsible and discerning for your thoughts. Like, you know, if I'm thinking, you know, confrontational, abrasive, or, you know, jealous thoughts towards someone, they're going to feel it. And if they're not, you know, sensitive at all, then it's possible that they're kind of blocking it, and it kind of bounces off them, but it still makes its way to them. And I'm sure, especially when, you know, if you work with someone for years and you don't get on with them, then over time they just feel that. They feel that energy from you in whichever way they're able to feel it, whether they're or willing to feel it. If they're kind of blocking themselves, it'll be much more subtle. And if they're very sensitive and very attuned, then they'll feel it very intensely. And so that's a good practice. To whenever you think of a friend, you know, think of all the things you love about them. And of course, we're human, and we, like, you know, mentally moan and complain about ourselves to ourselves, and about our friends and our colleagues and everyone else in the world. But the more love you inject into those thoughts and feelings, the better the energy that they will receive, and likely experience that you will have also. And if we also talk about the way that works, when I'm doing sessions with my clients, is that the other difference is that there's lots of different layers to connecting with people, lots of different ways of doing it. So one would be, come on, Patch. One would be, for example, when I set up a safe space for the session, I create a golden bubble around each of us. And as we step into that, I invite in our spirit guides. Come on, Patch. And as I do that, I can then talk to the client's spirit guides. And there's, at every stage, there's like this consent, which is an intention. So I set the intention to bring in the spirit guides of the client. And I set the intention to talk to them. And I also make it clear to the guides what it is I want to talk to them about. And so I say, I ask one of their guides to step forwards to assist in the communication. And I set the intention for the session to heal, to clear, to activate, and to assist my clients with any messages or anything that will help them on their journey at this time. And there's also like the highest version, the higher self of the client also, and that kind of highest version of them is also almost like a spirit guide. Like they're great to be able to talk to and get advice from. Come on, Patch. He loves all the smells here, but we would never walk if you just smell everything. When I speak to the spirit guides, I know that when I speak to someone's spirit guide, I'm really in their energetic space. I'm in the space of the client. Spirit guides, I know it's like they don't physically exist in the third dimension, but in the fourth, fifth, and upwards is where they reside, and that their light, their emotions, their transmissions traverse through these dimensions, and they come in often through the crown chakra and the heart chakra of the client. But these communication methods can vary massively with each person. And when I do connect with the client, I'm really asking permission. When I want to talk to the spirit guides, I'm asking permission to step into the energetic area of the safe space of the client, and then talk to one of their representatives. And I hear many people talking about spirit guides as being part of someone. Often I hear people describing spirit guides as like different souls within the same oversoul, or the same spirit tribe or spirit team. And I don't feel like there's any limitation to this, that actually all of these variations are true, and that we all have very unique teams and arrangements. But the key thing is, I can't really talk to someone, or do a reading for them. Never mind going into their energetic being and doing healings. That I can't like psychically talk to someone's guides without stepping into that sphere of them. There are some kind of, I wouldn't say exceptions, but there are alternatives to doing this that require less of a deep connection between two individuals. And so one is talking to the higher self, or the spirit guides of someone, and setting the intention to allow the communication to be in a kind of safe space and very high level, and to set the intention to not step deeply into someone's energetic field, and that is still has a degree of deep connection. However, it is like minimizing the depth of that connection. So for example, I could say, my friend Joe, I would like to talk to his spirit guides to get a message for his highest good. And so I would just allow that message to come through. And I'm just receiving that message. Thank you. And I feel like what just happened there is my friend Joe, that when I spoke to his spirit guides, they both represent his energy and are within his energetic field, but just a small, discrete broadcast came out and was given to me. Did Joe feel this? Probably. Did Joe give permission? Yes, I've done this for him many times, and that was definitely like an honor to be able to help him, and I'll send on the message to him later. But I feel like if someone did that to me, if someone just asks my spirit guides, even if I've given them permission, so let's say sometimes I work with friends, we might even be collaborating on a project together, and I'll give them permission to be in my energy space for you know, for a number of days or a number of weeks. But just like we were talking about the physical example, I don't know when they're going to step up close into my energetic field, and when they do, it's startling. I get ringing in my ears, and I get sometimes I get like pains in my like a kind of shooting pain in like the side or the top of my head, and it's a bit of a shock, you know, when it's like you're on the receiving end of their intention, and that is surprising. And so for all the times that I've done that to someone else accidentally, I apologize to you, and I'm definitely practicing it a lot more to be more aware of and sympathetic to others, especially as, you know, if you empathize with others truly, and you think, well, I wouldn't just turn up in your house unannounced. I'm not going to turn up in your energetic field unannounced either. And so getting that permission up front is just super helpful. So yeah, I would love to hear your experiences. If you're listening to this on YouTube or another platform that you can message on, then yeah, please leave a message and describe like your thoughts and feelings, your experiences. I think it would be really helpful to know how this resonates with you, and in particular some of the harder questions, like just thinking of other people has an effect on them. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Sending my love from Scotland.